The silent return. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had forgotten Earth. Alien empires had written it down in their records as a dead world, a burned rock drifting in silence. Children in distant colonies grew up hearing tales of the humans who once walked among the stars. Some laughed at the stories, calling them myths. Others spoke of humans with fear, saying they had been too wild, too unpredictable, too dangerous to exist. And so, the memory of Earth faded into shadows. In the year 5732 of the Galactic calendar, everything changed. It began with a signal. Weak, broken, like a ghost's whisper across the void of space. The signal was not from any known empire. It carried no crest, no symbol of loyalty. Yet buried inside its frequency was something terrifying, an ancient human code, the kind no alien had seen for ages. The Council of Valar, rulers of one of the largest empires, gathered to discuss it. Their golden chamber was filled with strange lights and echoing voices. The high speaker with silver scales and 4 eyes raised a trembling hand. "This code," he said, "belongs to a species we destroyed long ago. It cannot exist anymore." A silence followed. None dared to speak, but deep inside, a cold fear spread among them. Far away, in the outer rim of the galaxy, alien scanners picked up movement. Dozens of ships emerged from a dark rift. They were nothing like the elegant cruisers of the empires. Their hulls were black, shaped with sharp angles, glowing with faint red scars as if the metal itself carried wounds. No banners, no signals of peace, only silence. A patrol ship of the Zorak Union was the first to approach. Its captain, confident in his empire's power, opened a channel. "This is Zorak territory. Identify yourself, or be destroyed." The response came after a long pause. The voice was calm, low, and carried a weight that shook every alien on the bridge. "We are humanity. We have returned." The patrol crew froze. It was impossible. Humans had been gone for 3 millennia. Their home was ash, their fleets reduced to dust. And yet, here was a voice clear and undeniable. The Zorak captain laughed nervously. "Impossible. You are ghosts." The human voice replied, colder this time. "Ghosts, perhaps, but ghosts remember." And then, without warning, the human ships moved. They did not fire traditional weapons. Instead, pulses of light cracked through the patrol ship's shields like knives through paper. In seconds, the Zorak vessel was torn apart, its remains drifting silently in the void. No celebration followed. The human fleet simply continued forward, leaving wreckage behind as if it was nothing. News spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Rumors grew. "The humans are back." Some empires mocked the idea, saying it was only rebels using an old name, but others felt the weight of dread. The destruction of Earth had been brutal, yes, but it had also been dishonorable. Entire alien fleets had rained fire on a single planet, crushing it until no life remained. No one had expected survivors, but survivors had returned. On the planet Krith, an old scholar pulled a dusty book from his shelf. Inside, written in faded ink, were words passed down for centuries. Humanity never forgets. Humanity never forgives. His hands shook as he read them again. Meanwhile, the fleet drew closer to the heart of the empires, silent, steady, unstoppable. Their formation was perfect, their speed relentless. Alien spies tried to intercept their signals, but every message they captured was simple, written in old Earth language no one else could read. The one phrase that appeared again and again was, "For Earth." In the great city of Loren Prime, alien leaders gathered once more. Their faces showed both fear and pride, trying to hide their trembling voices. One commander slammed his fist against the table. "Humans are extinct. This is a trick. No species can wait 3,000 years for revenge." Another leader leaned forward, his voice shaking. "And yet, here they are." That night, the skies of Loren Prime changed. A massive shadow passed over the city as a dark ship blocked out the twin suns. People looked up in terror. Children screamed. Soldiers aimed their weapons, but none fired. From the sky, a single human message echoed in every language. We remember Earth. We remember everything. And then silence fell again. The galaxy, which had forgotten Earth, suddenly remembered. Echoes of Earth. The galaxy could not sleep. Every major empire, every colony, every outpost whispered the same words. The humans are back. For centuries, the idea of humans had become little more than a lesson told to young alien cadets. They were too reckless, too dangerous, too emotional. That is why they were destroyed. The annihilation of Earth was celebrated as proof that no single species could stand against the unity of the empires. But now, those same empires trembled because the one species they thought buried forever had risen from silence. In a hidden chamber on the moon world Caress, the High Council of 10 gathered. Representatives of the largest alien powers sat in a circle, their faces tense, their voices low. They cannot be human, said the representative of the Valar, his silver scales glistening under the lights. It has been 3,000 years. Flesh does not last so long. A frail being from the Toval Dominion spoke next, her body like a cluster of living crystal. And yet the code was theirs. Ancient Terran encryption. Who else would carry it? The chamber grew cold. Everyone knew the truth, but none dared to speak it aloud. Then a new voice cut across the silence. It came from the holographic screen at the center of the table. It was a recording, recently intercepted from the human fleet. 5 words, spoken with chilling clarity. We never forgave. We remember. The council froze. The words were simple, almost childlike in construction, but they carried an ocean of weight. No alien leader dared to mock them. They could feel the fury behind the voice, a fury that had survived the passing of millennia. Far from the council chambers within the human fleet itself, silence reigned as well. But it was a different kind of silence. Inside the flagship Eternal Resolve, corridors hummed with low energy, and walls glowed faintly with blue light. Human soldiers walked with measured steps, their uniforms dark as shadow. These were not the humans of the old Earth, rushing into battles with desperation and pride. These were descendants, shaped by exile, by centuries of survival on hidden colonies, by generations of remembering the fire that had consumed their home. Captain Elias Kane stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars. His uniform bore no medals, no glittering ranks, only a small patch stitched over his chest, the outline of Earth surrounded by black. A world gone, yet still alive in memory. He opened a small metal capsule in his hand. Inside was a pinch of brown soil, Earth soil, passed down from his ancestors, kept safe for 3,000 years. He pressed it to his forehead, then sealed it again. Around him, other officers did the same with their own relics. Small stones, a seashell, a feather, pieces of a planet that no longer existed, carried like sacred treasures. Report, Kane said softly. Zorak patrol destroyed, replied his second officer. Signal spread across the colonies. Every empire knows we are here now. And the response? Fear, mostly, and doubt. They cannot believe we survived. A faint smile touched Kane's lips. Good. Let them doubt. Fear grows fastest in the cracks of denial. Meanwhile, across alien worlds, the first signs of panic appeared. On the desert planet of Orath, soldiers of the Union drilled endlessly, trying to prepare for a human assault that had not yet come. In the floating cities of the Toval Dominion, citizens whispered of the return of the ghosts of fire. On the lush moon of Valar, children woke screaming from dreams of burning skies. An old scholar named Deiral sat alone in his library, running his claws over fragile paper scrolls. He had spent his life studying extinct civilizations. His colleagues laughed at him for clinging to old stories, but tonight his hands shook with terror. He read a passage he had once dismissed as poetic exaggeration. Humanity does not fade. Even in ruin, they carry memory like a weapon. Even in ashes, they dream of return. For the first time, he believed every word. The humans did not attack immediately. That was the strangest part. Their fleet moved through systems slowly, deliberately, ignoring lesser colonies, choosing instead to pass by silently, like predators circling prey. Every planet they passed grew restless, waiting for the first strike. None came. This waiting was worse than any battle. The silence of the Terran fleet became a weapon in itself. At last, on the outer rim world of Corvell, a confrontation came. The alien fleet was massive, 300 ships bristling with weapons, shields glowing bright. They blocked the humans, path confident in their numbers. The alien commander opened a channel. His voice was full of false bravado. "You cannot frighten us with shadows. This galaxy belongs to us now. Leave or be destroyed." On the human flagship, Captain Kane stepped forward. His face was calm, his voice steady. "This galaxy once belonged to all. You destroyed our home. You thought we would vanish. You thought, wrong," the alien commander sneered. "You are only survivors, scattered ghosts. We are united. You cannot win." Kane leaned closer to the transmitter. His words were quiet, but every alien felt them like a knife. "We are not here to win. We are here to remind." And with that, the human fleet moved. They did not fire first. Instead, they released a wave of coded signals into the alien fleet systems. At first, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to fail. Weapons froze, engines died, shields flickered out. It was as if the humans had been waiting for this very fleet, had studied it for centuries, knew every weakness. In less than a minute, 300 ships were powerless, drifting in silence. Not one human shot had been fired. On the alien flagship, the commander's voice broke. "How? How do you know us so well?" The human reply came cold and sharp. 3,000 years of study, 3,000 years of remembering." The galaxy shook. It was no longer rumor, no longer whispers. The humans were real, and they were unstoppable. And still, no one knew what they truly wanted. Were they here for vengeance? For justice? Or for something far darker? The echoes of Earth had returned, and with them came a silence that felt heavier than war. The first strike. The galaxy had grown used to human silence. For weeks, their dark fleet moved without sound, without warning. Planets held their breath, waiting for destruction that never came. Leaders mocked in their chambers, saying, "Perhaps they only wish to scare us." But deep inside, fear spread like poison. The humans were patient, too patient. And everyone knew patience was a weapon. The alien world of Draenos, life went on as normal. Markets buzzed, towers shone under the twin moons, and soldiers guarded the streets. But above the city, in the vast emptiness of space, something shifted. A shadow fell over the planet. Civilians looked up and gasped. It was not a storm, not a natural eclipse. It was a ship. No, an entire fleet. The Terran vessels appeared without warning, as if space itself had opened its jaws and spat them out. Black hulls scarred with glowing lines, weapons hidden but power radiating from every angle. For a moment the city was silent, and then the alarm screamed. Draenos was no weak colony. It was a fortress world, ringed with orbital cannons and protected by the proud fleet of the Valar Empire. The commanders laughed with arrogance. "Let them come," one officer sneered. "We will erase them again." The cannons fired first. Beams of pure energy lit the sky, rushing toward the human fleet. But the humans did not dodge. Their ships shimmered, their hulls bending the beams like water. The blasts vanished into silence. The aliens panicked. "Fire again! Fire everything!" Dozens of cannons unleashed their fury, but the Terran fleet moved as one, silent and steady. Then, for the first time, they struck. It was not fire. It was not chaos. It was precision. Small drones launched from the dark ships, thousands of them like a swarm of shadows. They moved faster than light itself, slipping through shields, tearing into systems, rewriting code. Within minutes, the orbital cannons shut down. Entire fleets went dark, power grids collapsed. The planet below flickered, lights dying one by one until cities stood in darkness. On the human flagship, Captain Elias Kane watched quietly. He gave no order to celebrate, no cry of victory. He simply whispered, "For Earth." The drones returned, carrying data, carrying prisoners, carrying trophies of war. And still, not one human life had been lost. Among the captured was Admiral Zaire of the Velar fleet, a towering figure with silver skin and 4 burning eyes. He had once laughed at the idea of human return. Now he stood shackled in the cold chamber of the Eternal Resolve. Kane entered the room. The alien hissed, "You think you can frighten us with tricks? You are only one species, we are many." Kane stared at him, calm, unshaken. "One species was enough to haunt your dreams for 3,000 years. Zaire spat in defiance. "We destroyed you. We burned your world. You should not exist." Kane leaned closer, his voice like steel. "You destroyed Earth, but you did not destroy memory. You did not destroy resolve. We rebuilt in silence. And now we return not as prey, but as hunters." The alien's eyes flickered with something new. Not rage, not hatred, fear. Across the galaxy, the first true images of the Terran strike spread. Citizens saw fleets crumble in minutes. They saw proud commanders dragged away in chains. They saw planets plunged into darkness without a single explosion. The message was clear. The humans did not come for conquest. They came for something far colder, control through fear, through silence, through precision. And yet there was something more. Reports began to surface of strange rituals among the human soldiers. In every captured world, they placed small monuments, simple, stones marked with the image of Earth. Some bore soil, some bore water, carried across millennia. To the aliens, they looked meaningless. To the humans, they were sacred reminders. On Draenos, one soldier knelt in the ruined capital. He pressed a tiny capsule of Earth soil into the ground and whispered, "Now you carry our memory too." An alien civilian hiding nearby watched in silence. For the first time, he understood. These humans were not just warriors. They were mourners, carrying grief so heavy it had turned into vengeance. The alien coalition began to fracture. Some argued they should unite stronger than ever to crush the humans. Others whispered that perhaps peace was the only way to survive. Old rivalries resurfaced. Empires that had stood together for centuries now accused one another of weakness. And still, the human fleet moved forward, steady as the march of time. In a distant chamber, a group of young alien cadets asked their teacher a simple question. "What do the humans want?" The teacher, once proud, once arrogant, lowered his head. He could not answer. On the bridge of the Eternal Resolve, Kane looked out into the stars. His officers waited. "Where next, sir?" one asked. Kane closed his hand around the soil capsule. His eyes burned with something between sorrow and fury. "Next," he said softly, "we remind them why Earth should never have been touched." And with a single gesture, the fleet vanished into the stars, leaving behind silence and fear. The galaxy had seen the first strike, and it was only the beginning. Shadows over the galaxy was burning with fear. The fall of Draenos spread, like a storm across the stars. Empires that had once mocked the idea of human return now whispered in secret halls. The first strike was not only a battle lost, it was proof that the humans knew them better than they knew themselves. On the moon world of Caress, the Grand Coalition was born. Never in history had so many alien empires gathered under one banner. Enemies who had fought for centuries now sat side by side, united by terror. The chamber was vast, carved from crystal, glowing with 10 suns worth of light. Hundreds of alien leaders filled the circle, their faces tight with anger and fear. At the center stood Chancellor Reith of the Zorak Union, his voice booming. "Enough silence, enough fear. The humans are not gods. They are flesh. They bleed. Together we will crush them as we crushed their homeworld. The chamber roared in agreement, but beneath the noise was doubt. Everyone remembered the powerless fleets, the silent drones, the fall of mighty Draenos. Far away in the void, the human fleet moved like shadows. On the flagship Eternal Resolve, Captain Elias Kane watched reports of the Coalition's gathering. His officers stood quietly, waiting for orders. "They are uniting," one whispered. Kane nodded slowly. "Fear makes allies of enemies. But fear also blinds." He turned to the war table. A holographic map of the galaxy unfolded, systems glowing like scattered sparks. Red marks spread across Coalition territories. "For 3,000 years," Kane said softly, "our ancestors studied them. Every empire, every weakness, every secret hidden in their blood. We know them better than they know themselves." His second officer, a woman named Arya Holt, spoke. "And if they throw everything at us?" Kane's eyes hardened. "Then we show them the shadows of Earth." The Coalition wasted no time. A massive fleet, thousands of ships from every corner of the galaxy, assembled in the Naylor system. It was the largest force ever created, a wall of steel and fire stretching across the stars. They waited there, daring the humans to come, and the humans came. From the blackness, their fleet emerged, smaller in number but moving with terrifying unity. The Coalition roared forward, weapons blazing, filling space with fire. The first human ships shattered under the assault, breaking apart into glowing fragments. For a moment, hope lit the alien ranks. But then the fragments moved. The broken pieces of Terran ships did not drift away. They unfolded, they reformed. They became new weapons, swarms of nanite machines that tore into the Coalition fleets like locusts devouring crops. Alien shields failed. Engines died. Soldiers screamed as their ships crumbled from the inside out. The Coalition fired desperately, but the humans adapted faster than anyone had imagined. Their silence was more terrifying than war cries. No cheers, no shouts, only cold precision. On the battlefield, Admiral Theros of the Kryn Empire fought with fury. His flagship was massive, armed with weapons that could split moons. He had once mocked humans, calling them a dead myth. Now he watched as his fleets were torn apart like paper. In desperation, he opened a channel to the human flagship. His voice shook with rage and fear. "What are you?" he demanded. "No species can wield such power." Captain Kane's face appeared on the screen, calm as stone. His reply was simple. "We are memory-made flesh. We are Earth's shadow." The channel cut, and Theros' ship erupted in flames. But it was not only destruction the humans left behind. On every battlefield, after every fallen fleet, they released something else, messages. Holograms of Earth, glowing blue and green, projected into the skies of alien worlds. Images of oceans, forests, mountains, the laughter of children, the song of birds. A world that no longer existed, forced into the eyes of those who had destroyed it. On one alien colony, citizens wept openly as the vision of Earth filled their sky. A child asked, "Why do they show us this?" And an old priest whispered, "Because they want us to see what we stole." Back in the Coalition chamber, chaos reigned. Leaders shouted, blaming one another. Some demanded stronger weapons, others begged for peace. Old rivalries reignited. The very unity that had been their strength began to fracture under the weight of fear. "They are not here to conquer," one leader cried. "They are here to remind us of our crime." Another slammed his fist. "Then we destroy them before their reminder becomes our end." But the truth was clear. The Coalition was losing not only battles but belief. On the Eternal Resolve, Kane stood in silence as the stars burned outside. His officers waited for his decision. "Why do we not finish them?" Arya asked quietly. "We could wipe them all out now." Kane held the soil capsule tightly in his hand. His voice was heavy, almost sorrowful. "Because vengeance is not enough. If we kill them all, Earth is still gone. But if they live in fear, if they remember, then Earth lives on in their memory. A hush fell over the bridge. And when the time comes, Kane whispered, we will decide if mercy still has a place in us. The galaxy trembled. The humans had not only defeated the coalition, they had planted doubt, fear, and guilt in every heart. Their shadows spread across the stars heavier than any weapon, but deep inside the human fleet a question burned just as strong as their vengeance. Were they becoming liberators of justice? Or the very monsters the galaxy once accused them of being? Vengeance or forgiveness, the galaxy was no longer the same. After the fall of the coalition, silence stretched across star systems like a funeral shroud. Entire empires, once proud and untouchable, now looked to the stars with fear. The humans had returned and nothing could stop them. But the question that burned brighter than any weapon was this: what do they want? In the ruins of the Naylor system, where thousands of alien ships had turned to dust, the human fleet gathered in perfect formation. The black vessels floated quietly, like shadows stitched into the fabric of space. On the flagship Eternal Resolve, Captain Elias Kane stood at the center of the bridge. In his hand, as always, was the small capsule of Earth's soil. His officers watched him waiting. Some expected the command to strike again to erase more worlds. Others hoped for words of mercy. But Kane remained silent, his eyes lost in the endless stars. Finally, Arya Holt broke the silence. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned. Captain, we have broken them. The coalition is shattered. Their fleets are dust. Every empire trembles at our name. What now? Kane closed his hand over the soil, his knuckles white. Now, he whispered, we decide what it means to be human. Across the galaxy, alien leaders scrambled. Some begged for negotiations, sending messages of surrender. Others plotted revenge in secret, desperate to reclaim their pride. But all of them feared the same thing, that the humans were coming for total annihilation. On the planet Valar Prime, children huddled in the dark as their parents whispered, the ghosts are coming. On the crystal worlds of Taval, scholars gathered in prayer, pleading for forgiveness from the memory of Earth. The galaxy was united in one thing: terror. Then came the message. Every star system, every colony, every ship received it at the same moment. A human transmission, broadcast in every known language. The voice was calm, steady, carrying the weight of centuries. This is humanity. 3,000 years ago, you destroyed our home. You burned our oceans. You crushed our skies. You thought we would vanish, but memory does not die. We returned. We fought. And now, you will remember Earth. Holograms spread across the stars, images of Earth in its prime. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting over mountains. The laughter of children. The songs of birds. For a galaxy that had never known Earth, it was like seeing a ghost. For those who had destroyed it, it was like facing judgment. On the Eternal Resolve, the crew watched the projection of Earth filling the skies of conquered worlds. Some stood in silence with tears in their eyes. Others clenched their fists, wanting more vengeance. Arya turned to Kane. We could destroy them all, burn their worlds as they burned ours. Why stop now? Kane's eyes darkened. Because if we do, we become them. But they deserve it, she argued. They showed no mercy. Kane held up the soil capsule, his voice trembling with both rage and sorrow. This is all that is left of our world. If we destroy everything, if we burn their skies and crush their children, then we carry Earth's ashes, not Earth's memory. And I refuse to let Earth live only as fire. The bridge fell silent. The human fleet began to move again. But instead of destroying, they imposed order. On captured worlds, they built monuments, tall black stones engraved with Earth's image. On each one was carved the same phrase. We remember. Alien citizens stood before the stones, unable to look away. The monuments were not weapons, but they felt heavier than any fleet. They were reminders, wounds carved into memory that would never fade. but not all humans agreed. In secret chambers, whispers rose among the younger officers. Some wanted total vengeance. Some wanted fire and destruction until every alien world was ash. Forgiveness is weakness, they muttered. Mercy is betrayal. The Terran fleet stood on the edge of division, between the path of vengeance and the path of justice, and Kane knew the choice would not be his alone. On the last night before the fleet moved deeper into Coalition space, Kane stood alone in his quarters. He opened the soil capsule and poured a grain into his palm. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Earth, guide us." Outside his window, the stars burned bright, but one star seemed darker, heavier, as if something waited beyond it, something watching. In the Coalition chamber, surviving alien leaders met in desperation. Their voices shook with both fear and anger. "If the humans forgive us," one whispered, "we live in their shadow forever. If they do not," another growled, "we die." And then silence filled the room, because everyone realized the same truth. The fate of the galaxy no longer belonged to them. It belonged to humanity. The next morning, the human fleet lit its engines. Thousands of dark ships moved forward in perfect silence. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. Would the humans destroy them all? Would they build a new order? Or would they become something far darker than vengeance itself? On the bridge of the eternal resolve, Kane gave his final words before the jump. Earth may be gone, but humanity is eternal, and the galaxy will never forget us again. The fleet vanished into the stars, leaving behind fear, guilt, and a question that would haunt the galaxy for centuries. When humans return again, will they bring mercy or fire?